I'm about to show you a montage of a whole lot of WTF, so brace yourself because it's going to be a string of altercations between adult men and literal children engaging in their constitutionally protected right to free speech. Some of the MAGA chuddies and peepaws in these videos may have got a little bit of this, so just be forewarned. These are students nonviolently protesting, as is their constitutional right. They're approached by a couple, older couple, who seems delighted to film them. I don't know what she's doing with that grin. He says, "Don't touch my wife."
And this dude have a gun. These are kids that are protesting, peacefully protesting, and there's a black man come up with a gun to intimidate people.
Texas, of course, Texas.
We're apologizing and saying we did not mean to make you uncomfortable.
No.
That conversation happened.
That is my license plate over there to my truck.
Okay.
I was on the way to Kroger.
Okay.
Okay? You see that? It says pray first.
And look at mine. Love our neighbor.
Okay?
You're going to see a bloody lip here, just be forewarned. It's a child. He's hitting children. He's attacking children. He got to put his MAGA cap back on. These are just a couple of a string of deeply concerning incidents over the last couple of months where adults, MAGA adults, Trumper adults are accosting children at protests. And one of these episodes went super viral when a dude named Chad Michael Watts assaulted a girl at a protest in Buda, Texas, where the students had walked out in protest of ICE, and he rolled on up. Originally, MAGA media tried to frame it as all of these violent, out-of-control children jumped this poor white man at a protest. But then we saw the whole thing, and he assaulted a child, and other children came to her defense. And he ended up being arrested and charged in the incident. Now, I have a whole string of clips of people who are rolling up to high school protests, and why is all of them are in a pickup truck? They're rolling down the window of their pickup truck and they're screaming at these kids. They're yelling at them. They're trying to get a rise out of them. But there've only been a handful where we're seeing adult men in particular assaulting children, and they are assaulting children. They're showing up with their firearm out and at the ready for unarmed children exercising their First Amendment rights. These men are so dysregulated, they cannot control their own fifis to the extent that they are ready to commit violence against children for saying things these men don't like, or for being in public with signs that these men don't like. Now, I am somebody who for years has spoken about the way that American society dehumanizes children. Children literally have fewer rights than adults in our country. Children are treated as property. The first child abuse cases had to be prosecuted under animal abuse laws because we didn't have any laws to protect children. An awful lot of men in this country operate on the premise that children are an acceptable place for them to vent their rage and their lust. That children are objects who are meant to absorb men's dysregulated feelings. Men will literally roll up onto a group of children they don't know and wallop on them, then go to therapy to deal with their issues and learn some emotion regulation. Now, we have to understand the rhetoric that we are hearing from Republicans, Governor Greg Abbott, conservative Republicans, is that these kids are being naughty, right? They shouldn't be doing this. They're missing out on school. We've had report after report on Fox News. We heard Mike Johnson talking about it, that like these children shouldn't be doing this. We have a long, proud history of the youth of our country exercising their constitutional rights. I know, we want to treat kids as subhuman. We don't want to believe that the Constitution applies to them, but it does. Children have a right to protest. The youth have a right to protest. So many of the good things in our country have happened because youth have pushed it, right? And we're seeing this resurgence of energy and momentum from the youth wanting to come out and protest on behalf of their immigrant neighbors, on behalf of democracy, on behalf of their futures. And that is a real threat to the regime. That's a real threat to the regime, especially as we know how desperate they are to control the Gen Z vote. And then that rising, like Gen Alpha, when they age up, they want to capture all of those young people, especially young men, for the alt-right pipeline. TPUSA and MAGA, and they're scrambling because they've seen the floor absolutely fall out on the support of Gen Z for Republicans and Donald Trump. And then we got Gen Alpha, and they're this whole other, like, we're not fucking with this. We're not down for this to be the future of our country. We are not going to sit by. And so there's this renewed energy of the youth. We saw with the campus protests a couple of years ago that a lot of young people felt really hung out to dry. They were protesting on behalf of Palestinians, on behalf of basic human rights, and they felt that a lot of adults didn't have their back as their colleges and high schools were cracking down on them, as law enforcement cracked down on them. And so we saw a little bit of, over the last year, kind of hesitancy. Youth felt once bitten, twice shy. They felt like they didn't have the support of older adults. And now I think we're seeing kind of a renewed momentum. Okay, they're seeing older adults out in the streets. They're seeing the way that we're organizing. They understand that this is their country and their future, and they're not going to let it go to the fascists. And that renewed energy and momentum is such a threat to MAGA. It's such a threat to MAGA. And I'm so encouraged by the way that youth are willing to take unexcused absences. They're willing to face detention. They are willing to make real sacrifices in order to have their voices heard. And I know that a lot of people might think, okay, high school protests are performative and they don't do anything. No, it does so much. This is for these kids. This is their first steps in standing up for themselves in their future, in engaging in protected speech. Like they are living out their constitutional rights. They're feeling emboldened by those experiences. That is such necessary and worthwhile protest. And I'm so encouraged that the youth are not going to be deterred by these MAGA turds that are rolling up. But at the same time, it poses a real safety risk to these children. I want to show you a clip in just a second that's concerning. It's a protest that happened several days ago, not quite 2 weeks ago, where there was a hit and run of a student at a protest from a dysregulated MAGA who was real mad. He was real mad that these kids were protesting. By the way, the driver of that truck with the Trump flag that hit the woman in the roadway was cited for leaving the scene of an accident, which should be a felony. The young woman herself was cited for being a pedestrian in the roadway. So watch with caution, please. Big Trump flag. It's going to be in the left-hand side of the screen. Exercise caution.
Oh my God!
That's a felony hit and run. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I have so many videos saved on my phone of dysregulated MAGA. They are all like older white women or men who are attacking youth, coming for youth, who are exercising their First Amendment right to free speech, to speak out against the tyranny and illegality of the regime, the brutality and inhumanity of ICE. So I think the question for us as older adults is, how can we have solidarity with the youth? How can we support the youth and help keep them safe? Because I think there's multiple ways here that our children and our young adults' rights to exercise their free speech is being threatened, right? It is an attempt to chill dissent on multiple levels. Angry, out of control MAGA protesters who are being stoked up, who are being riled up by the rhetoric of the regime. And we saw this after Charlie Kirk was murdered, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson in particular. They know how to stoke men on the right for political violence. So how can we make sure that our youth who are engaging in walkouts, engaging in free speech, are protected? And then there's a second threat, which is that politicians and school administrators in MAGA parts of the country and red parts of the country are trying to punish children for exercising their First Amendment rights.
Go back to class and we're good. If you stay out here, we will get your names. You will be suspended. Okay? That is your option at this point. Because you are operating outside the bounds of what was granted. That event was canceled. You left school without permission. Your rights do not supersede the school. So if you understand that, that is your option. If you wish to return, Dr. Damiani will let you in that door over there. If not, I will be getting your names. You will be suspended, okay? Those are your options. What are we doing? All right. Your rights do not exceed that of the school.
That's actually not true, and I really encourage students to go read the ACLU's section, Student Rights at School, 6 Things You Need to Know. MAGA, whether they are chuddies or school administrators, are a threat to our children's constitutional rights.